Welcome back to Adventures in Search and Rescue in the mountains of northern New Mexico. This particular episode is not about any one specific mission, but about two that had an interesting twist to them. The first was a gentleman lost out of Los Alamos who had hiked off of one of the trails down towards Bandelier. It had gotten dark and he had not come home or called into home when he should have. A call was made, I believe by his wife, that he was overdue and missing and where he was to be hiking. So I put out a call for resources and drove out to Incident Base on one of the trailheads outside of Los Alamos. As I pulled in, my operations section chief pulled in behind me, and since there was a gentleman coming up out of the trail, as I am wont to do, I was about to interview him to see if he had seen our subject. And as I approached him, and I had a vest on indicating that I was the IC, his comment to me was, "I'll bet you're looking for me." And so I said, "If your name is," and I'll make it up here, "John Smith, you are." And he said, "I am." At which time I yelled back to the operations section chief to stand everybody down. We had a find. He was okay. It had just gotten dark outside, and he wasn't sure where the trail was. So he sat down to enjoy a chilly evening under the stars. The next one, again, was a bit of good luck, if you will. In normal missions, for example, at the Santa Fe Ski Basin, it's a 16-mile road from St. Francis Drive up to the ski basin. And as I drive up and get out of the populated area, typically flash my headlights on somebody coming down and wave them down and interview them car to car, if you will, to see if they've seen our subject. And this normally works fairly well. Most people are very cooperative once they find out what we're doing. And more often than not, they have not seen our subject. On this particular mission, in a different area, on Glorieta Mesa, as I was driving up to the mission, a car was coming out, and I again flashed my headlights, waved them over, lowered the driver's window and he his, and said, "We're looking for Johnny Rodriguez." And he said, "I think he's sitting here right next to me." So I asked him if he was and where he had been, and he had been in the area we were searching, and it turned out he was our subject. And fortunately, by stopping them and talking to them, I avoided multiple resources searching into the dark off of Glorieta Mesa when the subject was home, sipping hot chocolate or whatever, and we were out there all night. One more like this, and it was again somewhat interesting. This one was at the Borrego Bear Waller trailhead, and we had set up Incident Base there. There's no real cell phone coverage there, but there is radio communication with teams. And as teams were coming in, several people were coming out from the trail, and one young lady on a bike had come out, and I asked her if she had seen two women and their daughter. And she said, "Oh yes, they're about 150 yards down the trail." So I quickly directed two of my more stalwart members to grab their packs, run down the trail, and see if they could find her. And lo and behold, they did. And they walked the two women and their daughter, who was a bit embarrassed, I believe she's about 13 or 14, to be the subject of all this attention. But fortunately, they were okay. And they had gotten lost on the Borrego Bear Waller Trail. More about that on the next episode of Adventures in Search and Rescue. Till then, hike safe.